a SkyH2O station kind of looks and feels like a big, beautiful gas station, but the primary product is not gasoline. It's high quality drinking water. Honestly, if you go into a lot of locations, quality drinking water is significantly more expensive than gasoline. So we're setting up in water stressed locations across the Southeast US, in the Caribbean, in the Mediterranean, in Hawaii, SkyH2O stations that are providing very important, meaningful, quality drinking water to those locations. So a SkyH2O station is a pretty elaborate setup. I'd like to say it's a new real estate asset class. If you think back at one time, somebody invented the motel or the gas station. Well, we're inventing water stations.
Welcome to the Blue Ocean Solutions podcast, where we dive into real conversations with business owners, innovators, and industry leaders reshaping the future of clean tech, construction, and the renewable energy sectors. I'm Kreel Hutchinson, your host. Our guest today is Alex von Welczeck, the founder, chairman, and CEO of SkyH2O based in California. Today, we're going to be discussing his journey in pioneering atmospheric water generation, a game-changing solution in the global water scarcity, and how his company is scaling industrial-grade systems to bring Water 4.0 to critical locations worldwide. If you're a clean tech entrepreneur, renewable energy investor, or an executive in industrial and governmental sectors, you will love the show because Alex is going to share his insights on building a purpose-driven, rapidly growing business that tackles one of humanity's greatest challenges. It's an example of innovation, solutions meeting massive global demand. Welcome to the podcast, Alex.
Thank you for having me, Kreel. I'm excited to be here today.
I am very excited. For people who may not be familiar with you and your work at SkyH2O, why don't you introduce yourself, a little bit about your background and what you're up to currently these days?
Great, will do. My name is Alex von Welczeck. I'm the founder and CEO of SkyH2O. This is the third climate tech or clean tech business that I'm building over the past 20 plus years. I was a super pioneer in the early days of solar energy in America. I founded a very successful company called Solar Power Partners. We built over 100 meaningful solar projects and successfully exited that business to NRG. I turned my sights to water in 2017 as the West was in an epic water drought. But in the meantime, I've discovered that really globally, we're in an epic water drought, and SkyH2O has a very meaningful solution to help on that case.
That's fantastic. So where, during getting involved in that time period, what have you seen in this industry, and what is the unique value proposition that SkyH2O brings to it?
Yeah, so SkyH2O is a purposeful business. I feel we're making a very meaningful impact on sustainability. My personal theme has been sustainability and resiliency for 20 plus years, but I migrated from clean energy essentially to clean water because as I'm further discovering what's happening globally is that the water challenge is the greater challenge. We went into water in 2017, specifically into atmospheric water generation. Atmospheric water generation, or AWG, is a proven technology, has been around for quite a while, but really no one has yet scaled it for effective, larger applications. And that's our mission at SkyH2O, is to scale atmospheric water generation so it can work well for larger industrial, commercial, and even government applications.
That's fantastic. I know you've mentioned it a little bit here already, but what's the main driving, what's the passion behind your work in this arc of your career to end up where you are now? And we'll get into how successful the business is, but what's really driving your work and the company's vision behind it?
I think my inner kid, just a nice California guy. I grew up in a beautiful coastal area in Northern California. I've always been blessed with great nature around me. I've got 3 children in the meantime, and I just feel that I need to do my part in, helping the world advance and become just a better place to live for everybody.
Hey, I love it. So then as we move towards the actual product that you guys have done, why don't you briefly explain what atmospheric water generation is for people who are maybe unfamiliar with that term and exactly the process. And then we can go a little bit deeper into like why you decided to focus on industrial rather than potentially like residential applications.
Yeah, so as you know mentioned, I fully believe that fresh, healthy water is the world's greatest challenge. Depending upon what study you read, globally there's perhaps 2.5 billion people currently living in some kind of water stress that's either made up of water scarcity or water contamination, and that number is projected to increase to more than 5 billion people by 2050. It's a train wreck coming, and there's no silver bullet solution, but atmospheric water generation can play a part and can help quite extensively. Atmospheric water generation is different than any and all other water solutions because atmospheric water generation's resource is the air, and all other water solutions resource requires an existing body of water that might be get desalinated, reverse osmosis, distillation, something like that. In our case, we don't need an existing body of water because our resource is the air, and air is pretty much everywhere. And therefore, we can make projects pretty much anywhere, in particular at the location nearby or where the water is needed. So it's really a game-changing solution, a little bit like how solar energy kind of changed the game of energy.
Fantastic. Is there any limitations? I have been introduced to the residential side. You're on a much larger scale, and we'll get to that conversation. But is there any limitations in where these facilities pulling moisture out of the air? Is there limitations around geographical where it's just like too dry? Is that something that is a concern for you?
Absolutely. There is limitations. So atmospheric water generation, kind of like solar energy or wind energy, is renewable water. And the key resource to make the water is humidity in the air. There's other elements, but that's the key resource. So essentially, the higher the humidity, the more water can be generated. The business itself is really kind of a site specific, mission critical real estate type deal. So we need to go to locations that essentially have high humidity and water challenges. Now, interestingly, perhaps the best locations to make these projects are on islands because also pretty much all islands are water stressed. But we can get more into detail on, where these systems work the best.
Let's talk about H2O. I mean, your company, SkyH2O. So what's the size of it? Where are you guys currently at in your scaling? Let the audience and definitely some of our executives kind of understand the size of the project that you're involved.
Yeah. So, firstly, we look at ourselves as a purposeful business. We like to say we're a triple bottom line business, people, planet, and profit. What we're doing differently, we believe, than anyone else is our focus is on making AWG projects. So, we have from the ground up invented, created our own AWG technology. We got help from some very famous professors and scientists, mostly from UC Berkeley. So we have a lot of IP, which allowed us to create the world's greatest, largest industrial grade AWG systems. We have a flagship unit we call the AWG Maximus that's designed or rated to generate more than 3,000 gallons of fresh, healthy water per day. But in particular, that machine is designed to go into projects. So most of the projects that we work on are generating somehow something between, on the low end, 5,000, and on the upper end, as much as 100,000 gallons of fresh water a day. And that's very different than really everybody else. There's at least 10 or more other AWG companies, but the way we see them, they're really focused on the product and making smaller applications, maybe for your home or small commercial, where we're scaling, making much larger projects.
Excellent. So from the industrial side of things, why would a company look at your product and realize that the value add is a really great fit for them? What are they currently experiencing that's the problem for them? That's the clear solution that you're providing.
Yeah. So as we develop the market for our uh, products and services, we're dealing with a lot of Fortune 500 types, military, government, and essentially, if they're interested in what we're doing, they're trying to resolve issues that are around sustainability, water security, water resiliency, and even adaptation. Those are kind of their themes. I mean, just as example, probably everyone's following, there's a boom happening in the data centers. Well, many of these data centers do not have enough water to effectively run those centers. So we can provide parts of that water. In fact, what's very nice about what we do is we provide essentially one of two different types of water. We can provide effectively distilled, like basically purified water. That's very valuable for certain industrial applications like data centers. And then also my favorite application is creating high quality drinking water.
And the high quality drinking water, what's the differentiator? Because I know kind of distilled water is like, okay, it's evaporated all minerals, so it's a very pure water, great for industrial applications, like you just mentioned. Whereas drinking water, generally, you need some minerals in there in order to better map what's naturally occurring in nature. What do you guys do to create that drinking water?
Yeah, I mean, drinking water has to be mineralized. Humans need mineral water. That's what's need healthy. Pretty much every country in the world, even states, have their own standards, certifications required for potable drinking water. What we do to achieve that is we have a water processing unit that runs together with our atmospheric water generations, where we take initially that purified water and then we run it through the water processing unit that then further mineralizes the water to meet whatever the local potable water standard may be, like TCQ in Texas or EU in Europe, different standards. And interestingly, we can then further above and beyond the minimum mineralization, we can further mineralize it to achieve certain taste or health outcomes. For example, water designed for women, water designed for athletes, things of that nature. So when you start off with basically a blank sheet of paper, demineralized pure water, you have a lot of opportunity to make beautiful, customized, high quality water.
Yeah, fantastic. So it sounds like, Alex, you've got two verticals happening, one on the industrial side, one on the potentially like I wouldn't say residential, but commercial drinking water applications. So give us a kind of a breakdown of what that looks like in your business. Which ones, yeah, what's more percentage going into which side of those verticals?
Yeah, that's actually exactly right. We have two business activities. One is the typical classical business model where we're selling our products and services to others, again, to people like maybe the military or Fortune 500 companies, things of that nature, where we'll sell them our products and services. But in that case, it's really just kind of a hardware business for us. And the real value is not in the hardware, but it's in the water. We've invented our own unique second line of business we call SkyH2O stations. A SkyH2O station kind of looks and feels like a big, beautiful gas station, but the primary product is not gasoline, it's high quality drinking water. Some people say, does that make sense? Well, honestly, if you go into a lot of locations, quality drinking water is significantly more expensive than gasoline. So we're setting up in water stressed locations across the Southeast US, in the Caribbean, in the Mediterranean, in Hawaii, SkyH2O stations that are providing very important, meaningful, quality drinking water to those locations.
And just to be clear, that's kind of like almost, let's say, a convenience store. It's a hub where you can drop in, you can buy gallons of water or whatever size you bring, or maybe you distribute on site.
Yeah, so a SkyH2O station is a pretty elaborate setup. I'd like to say it's a new real estate asset class. If you think back, at one time somebody invented the motel or the gas station. Well, we're inventing water stations. Typical SkyH2O station is designed to generate more than 30,000 gallons of fresh water a day. That's more than 100,000 liters. We integrate into a SkyH2O station also about 10 days or about 300,000 gallons of water storage. That's actually very important for people like FEMA. When there's a natural disaster, generally the biggest challenge is fresh drinking water. So we have plenty available at these stations. We integrate a bottling line. We've actually developed with leading groups our own bottling line that's made out of advanced materials that are recyclable and reusable, getting away from one-time use plastics. So about half the water at a SkyH2O station is packaged up, from smaller consumer sizes up to the very popular 3 and 5 gallon jugs. And then also maybe about half the water is sold, distributed in bulk. For an example, we have self-service filling As an example, like a family weekend warriors in their RV or boats, they can pull in, fill up a couple 100 gallons of water, go out for, a nice long camping weekend. Or similar businesses like a contractor or a restaurateur, they can pull in, get a couple 100 gallons of water, go back to their business. So these are located in strategic places that have water stress where there's a high demand on sources beyond tap water for high quality drinking.
Amazing. How many of these locations are currently up and running?
So we currently have 11 different stations in some form of pre-construction. Our focus foremostly is in southern Texas. We have a number of projects in the works around Houston, Corpus Christi, as far down as Brownsville. We also recently kicked off an initiative in Hawaii. We have 4 different larger projects in the works in Hawaii, on Maui, on Oahu, on the Big Island of Hawaii. And then also we have first projects in the works in the Caribbean, the Bahamas, as well as also the Mediterranean, including the island of Malta and the island of Sardinia. We have a plan to roll out more than 100 SkyH2O stations in those regions, which in total is going to require about $3 billion project investments over the next 4 or 5 years.
Incredible. And on the industrial side, how many projects or customers do you have that are using them on the industrial?
On the industrial side, we have a very robust pipeline. It's currently, think about $300 million of different potential deals that we're working on. We've successfully deployed the first 4 systems over the last year plus. But as I mentioned, that's not really our focus. Our real focus is on the SkyH2O stations models. I think we put at least 80+% of our efforts, our resources into finding and developing those projects, because for our business and also we think for people on planet, that's the biggest impact.
I would agree with you. I think it's fantastic. So, with such a robust pipeline of literally billions of dollars, what are some of the key internal processes or resources that you feel need strengthening to manage and convert that into active, successful projects over the course of the next 1 to 2 years?
Well, we definitely have the tiger by the tail on this one, and we need a lot of help. So we're very open and inviting. We, literally tell everybody we welcome and invite professionals who like to get involved and help. The types of professionals we mostly are looking for are project management types, project engineer types, try to keep the administration slim, really value added professionals into the business. We also are constantly and open looking for strategic partners. You can imagine as we go into new territories to build projects, we need to find good partners like co-development partners, so real estate groups who perhaps have properties and development teams who like to collaborate with us to put projects, in their regions. They need to get built, so we're always looking for the right general contracting or EPC partner to help build the projects. And then, of course, investment. There's tremendous investment opportunity. What's really amazing is despite that these projects have a very positive impact on the planet and have a very positive impact on people, they're also incredibly profitable. These SkyH2O stations, each one has a targeted IRR of minimum 21.5%. Most are over 25%. They have a 30-year useful life, as they can get effectively project finance with 50, 60, 70% debt. Equity investments in projects quickly achieve 40, even 50% and more. These projects are not just helping the people, but also are very, very profitable.
Well, obviously, you guys have a fantastic product and value proposition, and you're in a place where you're starting to really scale. As you just identified, you're looking for support in the right people, the right partners, investors, and the right engineers to come on board and help you execute on the project side. What are some of the challenges that you've encountered identifying and engaging with those types of people that you're looking to, partner up with or bring onto the team?
Well, the biggest challenge is that we're breaking new ground. We're doing something completely new. We haven't just created a new company. We're really inventing a new industry. We're inventing a new asset class. And so of course there's a lot of skepticism out there. So, those who have been getting involved really are those who are perhaps a little bit more bold and are a little bit less fearless, and those who really want to make an impact. So those are the characteristics that we're looking for in partners, whether they're new professionals working with us or strategic partners or investors. They really have to be somewhat bold and want to do something meaningful that helps improve the world.
Well, I think we've probably all seen that. I don't know if it was World or one of the famous magazine where it's like talked about Time magazine, maybe Blue Gold, when this came out maybe 10, 15 years ago. And I think there's a clear understanding that this resource of water is extremely valuable. And as a result, it's also, it's a human requirement and necessity. And thus there's a great potential to benefit from stewarding it and making it available to as many people as possible, and that people profit and a purpose that you have going on. When you move into educating the marketplace, educating consumers, educating investors, what are some of the strategies that you deploy in order to bridge that gap to really allow people to see the vision that you're seeing and the impact that SkyH2O can have over the next decade?
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges in educating and bringing those up to speed who may want to get involved, beginning with that traditionally, historically, water is not a profitable venture. The way water generally works is governments, municipalities have the ability to access water, whether it's from aquifers or rivers or whatnot, more or less for free. And then they're mandated to sell their water to local citizens also more or less for free. I mean, you pay less than 1 cent for a gallon of water. That's why you don't think twice about flushing your toilet 10 times a day. So between those two dynamics, there's very little, almost no profit involved in traditional municipal water. And so there's been many in the past investors who've tried to get involved and really have not had any kind of returns. We think we've cracked the code, or at least we've created a business model that is very profitable because we sell the water basically at consumer prices. You'll quickly go to a store and pay $1.50 or more for like a 20-ounce or 1 liter bottle of water, which is literally 100 times more than tap water. So our SkyH2O station model essentially circumvents municipalities but undercuts the existing bottling industry. So there's a big education process on getting those to understand how this all works. But as they understand and get it, then they really like to come on board and help.
Yeah, perfect. What are you seeing in the industry regarding, or in culture regarding trends that are working in your favor? So helping to bring forth the growth in your business. And then also on the flip side, challenges, that trends that are creating resistance or opposition to delivering on your impact.
Well, the mega trend is that there's an absolute scarcity when it comes to quality drinking water worldwide. More local to us, which is a big trend that's helping us in the United States, is unfortunately too many of our municipal water systems in the meantime are highly contaminated. So I mentioned Houston earlier. Houston is kind of ground zero for us, not because there's lack of water in Houston. Houston's a swamp. There's plenty of water, but their municipal water system currently has 51 contaminants in the water. You can look this up. There's a very interesting tap water database called ewg.org. But in the meantime, since the Flint, Michigan disaster, they've done a great job at monitoring and reporting on pretty much everyone's municipal water quality. And like I mentioned, Houston, there's 51 contaminants. As a result of that, bottled water sales are booming. They're expected to 2, 3x over the next 4 or 5 years, depending on what study you read. I mean, if you go into the market, 5, 10 years ago, to find bottled water, you have to go to the back of the row at a HEB and find a little area. Today, you walk through the front sliding doors of a HEB or a Buc-ee's or whatever, and they've got 10 feet piled high flats of bottled water. Most of that water is poor quality. It's being shipped in from far away. Businesses have high carbon footprint, plastic bottles, all these problems. Well, we have an answer to all those challenges with the existing bottle industry by making it local, using sustainable packaging and distributing nearby where it's being consumed. So that's the main idea of what we're doing.
Yeah, perfect. I love it. And so as you look towards the next 1 to 2 years, what's your real strategic priorities? Let's say over the next 6 to 12 months, what would you like to see happen inside your company in order to continue to scale and grow at the levels that you've described?
Like I said, our primary focus is project oriented, finding the right sites, finding the right regions, the right partners. I'm really excited right now about what we're doing in Hawaii. I just came back from a road show in Hawaii where we've now teed up a $150 million of much needed uh, projects, most likely be building the very first project on the island of Maui, including a satellite station in Lahaina, the city that unfortunately burned down 2.5 years ago. They have no water there. So we know we can help a lot of people. We can help the environment there. That's really important to us. We also have a big focus on Texas, southern Texas. There's a lot of water challenges, particularly as you get towards the Mexican border by Brownsville, where Elon Musk is shooting up the rockets down there. A lot of water contamination. So we're going to go down there, help those people with high quality drinking water. And then also, it's maybe a little bit of a personal interest because I lived and worked in Europe for 11 years, but we have a real focus on the European Mediterranean. Pretty much all those islands are highly water stressed. So we're going to make our first project on Malta, and we have also projects in the works on Sardinia in Italy and on Mallorca in Spain, all places that are water stressed where we can be very, very helpful.
Amazing. I'm excited for you. Congratulations on that her groundbreaking work
Thank
there.
you.
As we move towards the finish line, one of the questions I like to explore with all of my guests is seeing how AI, the trend that we're all experiencing and being part of, how AI is influencing your business, whether it be in the product development, maybe it's in the administrative, maybe it's in the marketing. At this point in your business, how is AI playing a role?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, we are very focused on being on with working with advanced technology. I mean, just for an example, our AWG systems are smart Internet of Things devices that we can pre-program and even remotely control. So they work basically up and down as atmospheric conditions change. But maybe even more importantly, we can have them work up and down as energy pricing or availability changes. And you likely know in too many locations in the meantime, there's a big mismatch between energy generation and energy consumption, which is creating a lot of havoc on the grids, where a lot of energy gets curtailed and flared off. Well, we can take that undervalued energy, if you will, and make valuable water out of that. That's particularly prevalent on a lot of island situations like Hawaii. And in order to maximize that opportunity, our systems need to be smart, some kind of AI, constantly learning, constantly updating, so that we can work ideally between in the energy water nexus.
Amazing. Alex, I've really appreciated you having you on the show, the podcast, to share your incredible story and your value proposition to the world. And I hope our audience has gotten some great value out of it. Before we leave you, I want to make sure that they can get a hold of you. So would you mind leaving your details of where people can reach out and get a little bit more information?
Absolutely. As I said, SkyH2O welcomes, invites professionals, strategic partners, and investors, both on the corporate and on the project level, to accelerate business and project development across America to worldwide. If you like to get involved with SkyH2O, the best place to find it is on the web at www.skyh2o.com. We're also pretty active on LinkedIn. I'm actually pretty much out there, always available. So if you're interested in SkyH2O, please connect with me. Please connect with our head of business development, Terrell Jones. We're easy to find and nice to deal with.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alex, for being on the show. To my audience, of course, I will put all of those links in the show detail notes. Thank you so much for being with us for another episode of Blue Ocean Solutions Podcast. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you so much, Kreel. Thank you, everybody.